Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm David Feldman, and this is the mop-up for April 14th, 2023. The FBI arrested a member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard yesterday, charging him with leaking hundreds of government documents on social media. The FBI says the man was taken into custody as part of an undercover operation called Arrest Somebody, Anybody. The Department of Justice wants to know how a trove of highly classified Pentagon secrets got leaked on social media, and more importantly, why it only got 50 likes. The material that was leaked revealed weaknesses in Ukraine's air defenses and revealed that Ukraine is quickly running out of ammunition. This is top secret information only known by our intelligence agencies or anyone who ever listened to one of Joe Biden's 5,000 speeches begging Congress to spend more on Ukraine. Some of the secrets revealed are that our military spies on our allies like South Korea, Israel, and of course, America's closest ally, the United States taxpayer. Meanwhile, Senator Dick Durbin, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, said he will launch an investigation into Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's millions of dollars worth of vacations paid for by conservative billionaire and activist Harlan Crow, who, it turns out today, purchased Thomas's childhood home and plans to turn it into a museum, the Clarence Thomas Museum, where every wing is a nut. Thomas insists he only took the gifts because Harlan Crow has no business before the court, and Harlan Crow has no business before the court only because of all the gifts Clarence Thomas took from him. The Democrats will hold their 2024 National Convention in Chicago because we all know how well that went the last time back in 1968. The president wanted Chicago because that way the mayor could introduce him and Biden would finally get to lead a chant of "Let's go Brandon." See, the mayor of Chicago is named Brandon Johnson, so after he introduces Joe Biden, Biden could lead a chant of "Let's go Brandon." Donald Trump has filed a $500 million lawsuit against his former attorney, Michael Cohen, claiming Cohen lied about him. $500 million is an interesting figure when you consider that if Trump had a penny for every lie Trump ever told, he'd have exactly that amount, $500 million. Trump is in trouble with the Federal Election Commission after he missed the deadline all candidates must meet to file their personal financial disclosures. The FEC takes personal financial disclosures very seriously and is expected to level a wallet-crushing fine of $200. That is the truth. $200 fine. $200. This country's campaign finance laws have fewer teeth than the front row at a Trump rally. Because here in America, we take campaign finance laws about as seriously as we take our laws banning union busting. I think $200 is also what Starbucks got fined by the NLRB for firing all those union organizers. Meanwhile, a representative for the ex-president is asking the FEC for a series of extensions, but only for Trump's hair. The financial disclosures would offer up the first glimpse into Trump's post-presidency business dealings, according to experts. But really, do we need to see Trump's books? We already know the drill. Get indicted, ask people with a third-grade education to donate their welfare checks for your legal fees, use that money to pay off the Russian mobsters who want their VIG, don't use it to pay your lawyers, rinse and repeat. Melania, Trump's latest concubine, has been noticeably absent lately. Mar-a-Lago insiders say she's come down with a slight case of self-respect. Melania didn't accompany Trump to New York for last week's arrest. She didn't accompany him to New York for this week's deposition before the New York State Attorney General, Letitia James. But in all fairness, Trump didn't want Melania with him. With Letitia James breathing down his back, the guy can only handle one woman at a time trying to take all his money. Letitia James's civil trial against Trump is scheduled for October of this year. She's charging Trump and his 3 children of fraud on what she calls a level that is simply staggering. In her civil suit, James is demanding $250 million, which might explain why during Thursday's deposition, Trump accidentally referred to her as Vladimir Putin. In this trial, Trump is accused of inflating his assets when he needs collateral for a loan and deflating his assets when the government wants his money, like, after he loses this case. Can you say bankruptcy number 7? This is now what is called the discovery. He was deposed last year and took the 5th. Literally, he stole the 5th Amendment and kept it along with several moderately priced fountain pens from Staples. During last year's deposition, Trump told Letitia James that only a complete idiot wouldn't plead the 5th, and yet he pled the 5th. Trump accused the state attorney general of conducting a witch hunt. The problem with calling this a witch hunt, of course, is that nobody's accusing Trump of being a witch, because his pointy hats are white, not black, and they're actually more of a hood than a hat. In filing the lawsuit, Letitia James said she wants to forbid Donald and his 3 swinishly feeble-minded children from ever running a business in New York State ever again. Wow, that would be a real hit to our economy. Tens of thousands of jobs lost in the bill collecting sector. Forbidding the Trump children from running a business. Is money laundering a business? I guess it is. Trump has repeatedly accused State Attorney General Letitia James, who is African American, of being racist. And I must admit, when it comes to judging racists, Donald Trump is an expert witness. Trump insists there would be no trial if he were black. Of course not. New York police would have shot him in the back decades ago. Trump's motorcade arrived at the Attorney General's office at 10 a.m. on Thursday. As he approached the underground garage, Trump was inundated by chants of "We hate you," and that was just his Secret Service team from inside the limousine. You see, Trump is all alone. Melania did, however, appear with him publicly for an Easter Sunday brunch in Mar-a-Lago. In other words, his check cleared. The waiter came over and asked if he could get her anything, and Melania said yes, the number for Melinda Gates' divorce attorney. When the couple dines at Mar-a-Lago, Melania instructs the waitstaff to put out 2 velvet ropes, one around the couple's table, the other around her vagina. Insiders tell the New York Post that Trump told Melania he really, really needs her out there with him on the campaign trail, smiling and holding his hand. Melania explained, "I'm a model, not an actress." But Melania is encouraging Donald to run. For the same exact reason, she encourages him to have sex with as many porn stars as possible, because he's 76 and she hopes it will kill him. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, along with the heads of the International Monetary Fund and World Bank, complained today that China is lending money to poor countries and then waiting until they can't pay the money back in order to quietly take over the inner workings of their financial institutions. Gee, I wonder where China learned how to do something like that. Behave like a loan shark and perform a bust out on any poor country that can't pay them back. That's pretty nasty stuff. The World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and of course the United States should get to the bottom of this and launch a full-scale investigation into who taught China that when you lend money to poor countries that can't pay you back, you can end up owning them. We should find out. It would be very valuable to discover who the people are who taught China this. The IMF, the World Bank, and the United States should get right on this and find out who taught China how to do this. Very upsetting. Jury selection began today in Dominion Voting Machine's $1.6 billion defamation suit against Fox News. Dominion accuses Fox of maliciously misleading viewers into believing that Dominion Voting Machines was part of a vast conspiracy to steal the 2020 election for Joe Biden. Lawyers for Fox say this case is about more than just Fox News. It's about protecting Fox News's constitutional right to destroy our Constitution. Dominion, as I just said, is asking for $1.6 billion in damages, which seems like a lot until you consider that was what Roger Ailes budgeted each year for raping his female employees. Roger Ailes had a $1.6 billion a year rape budget. Roger Ailes, founder of Fox News. Dominion is also suing MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell and Rudy Giuliani for considerably less than $1.6 billion, since between the two of them, there's maybe a hot plate and a $5 gift certificate to Winn-Dixie. Jury selection began today with 300 potential jurors summoned to a Delaware courtroom, begging the question, Delaware actually has 300 people? Delaware? Delaware is just an offshore money laundering operation. I'm being serious. Its official nickname is the Suspicious Financial Activity State. On Wednesday, the judge in the case reprimanded Fox News for withholding key documents and said, moving forward, the company now has, quote, a credibility problem. Credibility problem, by the way, was the original name for the Five. Lawyers for Dominion say they are missing key documents belonging to Fox News chief Rupert Murdoch. Murdoch's lawyers said Murdoch's or anybody's emails are inadmissible because they're private and only belong on the front page of the News of the World after someone's phone has been hacked. Meanwhile, audio tapes were played in court on Wednesday of Fox News anchor Maria Bartiromo asking Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, if he had any hard evidence of voter fraud. Rudy is heard on tape saying, quote, that's a little bit harder. Giuliani insists that's a little bit harder wasn't referring to evidence, but instead the Fox News green room's selection of whiskey. That's a little bit harder. Rudy is an alcoholic. I read more books about the Trump administration than anyone should, and every book brings up his alcoholism. Rudy was ripped election night, and nobody can recall a day he didn't reek of liver disease. Forget counting the vote. I want to see Rudy count backwards from 10. Here's the important thing to remember. Rudy was Trump's attorney because, not in spite of, but because of his drinking problem. Trump finds liquor on someone's breath very comforting because it's the only thing he ever smelled when his mother or any woman told him they loved him. Do you realize how different the past 8 years would be if Donald heard the words, I love you, from one woman, not reeking of 3-day-old scotch, cigarettes, bulimia vomit, and Percodan? Just one woman saying, I love you, not reeking of 3-day-old scotch, cigarettes, bulimia vomit, and Percodan. Yeah, Rudy Giuliani is a drunk. In 20 years, he's gone from 9/11 to 7/7, from comb-over to hungover. And that's why Trump keeps using him, because Rudy's a drunk. The key to success in Washington or corporate America is being compromised. And Rudy is compromised. He's a drunk. You're less of a threat and easier to control. The people in charge don't want an independent thinker who can't be contained. You want to move up in Hollywood, Washington, academia, any place where it's about power and control, pretend you're a drunk. Pretend you have a secret sex life. Make them believe there's dirt on you. You can run the world if the people who really run it think they can put a manila envelope in front of you with some compromising photographs and you'll do what you're told. That's my advice to young kids starting out. Forget the MBA, forget law school. Go to work and pretend you're a filthy, disgusting person. Your boss will ask you to marry his daughter. That's how Rupert Murdoch operates. He hires broken down people. Nobody would ever hire Sean Hannity. Maria Bartiromo was through. She came to Fox News after CNBC because she was out of options. That's how you control costs. Only hire desperate people. It's how you keep them working for you on the cheap. All of Rupert Murdoch's employees at Fox News are automatically tainted the second they walk through those doors. Where else are they going to go? I don't care how much Greg Gutfeld makes for Fox. Where is he going to go? Who would hire Greg Gutfeld other than Fox News? He's permanently stained. He can't negotiate a contract. Megyn Kelly tried. She left. She left Fox News for NBC. Within 5 seconds, she was fired for saying something about blackface. Nobody is ever going to hire anybody if they worked for Fox News. That's how Rupert keeps his costs down. His staff knows they're tainted. They're not going to ask for raises. Now, I don't know how this Dominion case plays out. A lot of legal experts say Fox News is on shaky legal ground. Defamation is hard to prove in America, but willful negligence is not protected by our First Amendment. So if you broadcast news that you know is wrong, but you go ahead and broadcast it anyway, that's willful negligence. That's defamation. They may lose. This is an important case because Fox News is, and it remains, the number one source of news on cable television. In other words, it's for old people who can't cut the cord because the people running the assisted living facility won't trust them with a pair of scissors. Fox News is for people who are too stupid to realize cable television is a complete ripoff. Right? It's a ripoff. We all know that. And if you're too stupid to figure that one out, then you're an easy mark for being sold reverse mortgages, gold for your IRA, or ideas like tax cuts for the rich will balance the federal budget. It's the perfect audience. People who still have cable, it's perfect. Perfect audience for people who want to sell things that are fraudulent. Its entire audience, Fox News' entire audience, is over the age of 65. And Fox News is designed to accelerate the speed at which an already diminishing mind deteriorates. Fox News speeds up the aging process. What I'm saying is check your grandfather's cable package. It may not be Alzheimer's. It just might be Fox News. If you or someone you know is a senior with cable, you run the risk of early onset of dementia. Warning signs include Bret Baier, Tucker Carlson, and Sean Hannity. So why is Fox News popular among people with 1.5 feet in the grave? It is old people. Why? Well, first off, it's important to remind everyone that not all senior citizens are completely cut off from their loved ones, which is why most senior citizens don't watch Fox News. Most senior citizens don't watch Fox News because they live productive lives, enjoying their friends, and if they're lucky, their grandchildren. They've accrued enough life experience to know they're borrowing the planet, and the only way to find peace with the human condition is to dedicate all your free time to leaving this place better than when we found it. Most senior citizens know that, which is why most senior citizens don't watch Fox News. But there are the few million who do watch Fox News because they hate their grandchildren, they hate their wives, their neighbors, they hate everyone, and it's everyone else's fault not theirs. That's why they watch Fox News. Nobody invites them anywhere because they're insufferable pricks. Their phone never rings. And Fox News is the only company they have. It's on 24 hours a day, teaching them, reminding them to blame everyone else for their miserable, loveless existence. Senior citizens who watch Fox News are incapable of affection. That's why they love the flag and our military, because our flag and our military never told them they were a lousy lay. Nobody is effing these senior citizens because they're lousy lays. So the only thing they can love is the flag or our military. This is the channel for men and women who pretend at humanity. They'd rather cry at the national anthem than from their grandkids, because grandkids always ask, why does Pop Pop smell like a fart that died from cabbage poisoning? The people who watch Fox News smell like a fart that died from cabbage poisoning. I've been to Fox News. I've walked around their headquarters. It smells like a fart that died from cabbage poisoning. People who watch Fox News smell. The people on Fox News all smell. The men, the women, all their orifices are sugary mixtures of yeast, decay, and fly larvae. Fox News is for people who are unhealthy or want to be unhealthy. You watch Fox News because you're gonna die and you don't want to die alone. You want everyone to die with you. So no Medicare for all, climate change, it's not real, more guns, more war, more cops shooting people in the back because let's all die together. I don't want to be alone, which is why there is no Fox News in Canada or Great Britain. Nobody watches it in Canada or Great Britain. They tried. People think that it's banned in Canada. It's not. They try to put Fox News on in Canada and in Great Britain. Nobody watches it. Canadians and Brits, they don't want any part of Fox News because those countries have something resembling universal health care, which means they lack the medical preconditions that make Fox News such a soft entry point into the brains of untreated mental deficients. Why would you watch Fox News if you can afford to see a doctor? That's why nobody in Canada or Great Britain watches Fox News. They don't want to die. And it's not just the decimation of our health care that makes Fox News so appealing to some senior citizens in America. There's also the eradication of our social safety net. Most senior citizens in America are struggling to make rent, fill their prescriptions, and eat. So a vast preponderance of senior citizens are smart enough, are self-aware enough to rely on others. Then there are the handful of seniors who, instead of turning to others, turn to Fox News. And they're taught it's a dog-eat-dog world. Or if you're a senior citizen watching Fox News, a man-eats-dog world. We're only talking about a couple of million here in America, only a couple of million senior citizens who watch Fox News. But that's all it takes to create a movement. All it takes is a couple of million old, lonely, angry senior citizens. Just takes a couple of million old, lonely, angry senior citizens with simultaneously too much and not enough time on their hands to get just stupid enough, to get just angry enough, to get just frightened enough, to get tricked into thinking things like humans are not responsible for climate change if it's real. Local police aren't racist, but the FBI is. They hate Christians and white people. And, guns mean fewer gun death. And vaccines are more dangerous than COVID. It's a movement of senior citizens who believe this. And there's just enough for them to keep the Republican Party humming along. Look, America isn't a democracy. It's not majority rule. This is a country ruled by the people who want power more than other people want power. That's America. That's the way it's always been. In America, power goes to the people who want it the most and to the people who know exactly what they want to do with their power. Now, America used to be ruled by the 1%. Now it's ruled by the top 1% of the 1%. And why is that? Because the top 1% of the 1% wants it more than everyone else. They want it more. They want it more than you want: free health care, free tuition at public universities, a livable wage, and an end to permanent war. They want their power and money more than you want these things. They want money and they want power, and they want it more than everyone else, and they know exactly how to get it. They invent propaganda machines like Fox News or AM Talk Radio, along with all those think tanks. And of course, they keep a Republican Party going that couldn't care less what the American people think, because the Republicans can gerrymander, voter suppress, and steal their way into elective office. And when these people, and I'm using the term people generously, when they have their power, they know how to keep it by using it. They destroy unions, drill our oceans for oil. They open up public lands for mining. They sell weapons to autocrats, subsidize fossil fuel companies, give tax breaks to themselves, and strangle the 99% social safety net to create a desperate workforce that will take whatever crumbs the 5 richest families are throwing at them. They know what they're doing because they know what they want. They know exactly what they want: more power, more money. And they will win every time. And things will continue to get worse in America unless we, the people, play the same exact game. Because in America, money and power trumps everything else. You want kindness? Tough. The people with all the money and power stole that from you. You want a quiet life with just enough? The people with money and power have commodified quiet. They have commodified just enough. Now you have to spend a fortune on the simple things that make life worth living. It now costs a lot of money not to care about money. You want a roof over your head? Remember when just having a roof over your head was a given? Remember that? Washington, like America, is money and power, and Bernie Sanders gets that. Katie Porter gets that. Elizabeth Warren gets that. And here in America, money and power is now a zero-sum game. It's a zero-sum game. In other words, when the richest 1% of the richest 1% take power, they take all of it. They take all the money from us. And we need to play the same game and take it all back. Yes, there is plenty of money and power to go around for everyone. Yes, if we all shared the wealth and power, everyone in this country would be taken care of. We're fighting a deadly, psychotic, sociopathic enemy, the richest of the rich, and they want it all. They want all of it. They've turned it into a zero-sum game, so we have to fight a zero-sum game too, because they're going to win. They want it all. They're coming for our libraries, our parks, our playgrounds, our public schools, our air, our water. They want to take everything away that we own and then sell it back to us. You have to fight these people. You can't coexist with billionaires peacefully. Fight them peacefully, politically, because you cannot coexist with billionaires. Either we eradicate the billionaires or they eradicate us. It's that simple. It is a fight for our survival. You can call it whatever you want. Socialism, democracy, social democracy, democratic socialism. I call it patriotism. Love of country, which means love your neighbor. Making sure that everyone has a say in how our taxes get spent. Participatory budgeting. America is insane. It is insane, and it is getting worse. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. We keep thinking, when does the fever break? It doesn't. The fever is the point. When I watch Fox News, I used to think, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't believe what I'm hearing. Now it's like, yeah, I get it. This is the whole point of it. After a mass shooting, Ted Cruz says we need more guns. That used to be insane. After January 6th, the official Republican statement after January 6th was, quote unquote, January 6th was legitimate political discourse. That is the official policy of the Republican Party, that January 6th was legitimate political discourse. This is psychosis. And when you're dealing with this level of depravity, this insanity, there's no bottom. It's bottomless. Republicans will not get better. They will just get worse and worse and worse. And it will continue to get worse because they are a cancer. Billionaires are a cancer, and they spread their cancer through places like Fox News. And I'm not putting it all on Fox News. They're the think tanks like Heritage, Cato, American Enterprise, the Federalist Society that provide a phony intellectual undergirding to all this fascism. In fact, Fox News is the least of it. It's useful because at least Fox has something resembling transparency. It's out in the open. You can watch it and see what the mind meld is. But, with or without Fox News, with or without Rupert Murdoch, the richest 1% of the richest 1% are going to continue to foist their insanity upon us until we take it from them. Money and power. We have to take their money and power. My advice, don't argue with these people, because would you argue with a rabid dog? What do you do with a rabid dog? You protect yourself from it and then send it to a farm. Send it to a farm. That's how we have to treat Republicans, people who watch Fox News, Rupert Murdoch. Take it from him. He's not even an American citizen, Rupert Murdoch. He bought his American citizenship. The guy who's screaming about immigrants, creates an entire network trashing immigrants, is an immigrant. Don't fight. Don't fight. Do what Dominion is doing. Sue. Take their money and their power. Meanwhile, Rupert Murdoch could testify next week in this trial. He's in his 90s and has recently suffered a broken back, seizures, 2 bouts of pneumonia, long COVID, atrial fibrillation, and a torn Achilles tendon. And that's sad because considering the damage he's done to America, one would wish his ailments were far worse. Rupert's 2-week engagement to Anne Leslie Smith, a dental hygienist, was broken off suddenly last week. Well, you know what they say, Rupert. Unlucky in love, lucky in dropping dead soon. It was a rape factory. Fox News under Roger Ailes was a rape factory. Okay, we're running short on time. Okay. Let's wrap things up with a speed round and go around the world and see what's happening. We have to move very quickly now. Please like this video. Please share it. Office hours is this Friday night. We start at 8. Robert Smigel We're going to interview Donald Trump at office hours, Friday night, starting at 8 p.m. Go to my website for the link. Please join us. Please comment on this video. I read all your comments, and the only reason you're watching this right now is because somebody copied and pasted an episode and shared it with you either through email or social media. So if you're enjoying this show and you want to help out, the best way is by sharing these episodes. All right, let's wrap this up, find out what's going around the world. With their coronation only weeks away, King Charles III and future Queen Camilla spent 12 hours on Tuesday practicing how to sit. Go full screen here. As footmen prepare the royal carriage's trip to Westminster Abbey, King Charles is clearly hoping to save money on the coronation by using artificial horseshit. I don't know if you can see the artificial horseshit. I think the artificial horseshit is just as good as the real. If you can save a little money, go for it. Meanwhile, it came down from the palace on Tuesday that Prince Harry will be there for his father's big day. Wife Meghan will not attend. Nothing personal, she was told, but like all previous coronations, this one too will be whites only. On his way to Easter services, King Charles spots the recently evicted Prince Andrew in Windsor Park, fashioning a bachelor's castle out of an abandoned refrigerator box and some duct tape. Prince William and Prince George walked to Easter services lost in thought, trying to best case the actuarial tables on how much longer their respective fathers have to live. As the entire royal family attends Easter services, Prince Andrew wonders whose castle he should break into for a warm bath. This is the stack of morning after abortion pills Heidi Cruz takes before jumping out of bed, just in case she accidentally had sex with her husband Ted the night before. That's a lot of morning after pills. The former president leaves Trump Tower on Thursday for yet another deposition, and just as doctors feared, prosecutors have sworn the poor man in so many times, his right arm is now frozen in that position. As Donald Trump returns from Thursday's deposition to his apartment at Trump Tower, the bedbugs and rats run towards him, screaming, "Daddy, Daddy, did you bring us a treat?" As the judge warns Donald Trump to refrain from inciting violence, his attorney, Joe Tacopina, calms his client down by pretend playing the keyboard solo from the opening credits to Succession. Speaking of which, on Monday, Don Jr. got written out of the will after telling his father this week's episode of Succession was the greatest hour in television history. Though only an American citizen since 2018, Melania's father, seen in the middle, began to fit in well with the rest of the Trump clan after he let slip that he's wanted in Slovenia on 15 counts of bank fraud. Melania's father, Victor Navs, had stopped by Mar-a-Lago, partly to hear Donald's speech, but mostly to pick up a few classified documents to turn over to his Russian handlers. By the way, that's Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz standing behind Melania's father, and whenever Matt Gaetz meets Melania's father, he always asks the same exact question. Ballpark the age of consent for me in Slovenia. Always wants to know what the age of consent is in Slovenia. Because he's a horrible driver, Arnold Schwarzenegger always travels with a broom to sweep up after one of his many, many, many car accidents, as well as a shovel to bury the pedestrian he just hit before the ambulance and police show up. He actually hit a friend of mine. He's a piece of shit, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He crashed into a friend of mine, almost killed her. He's a piece of shit, always was. Jim Jordan grows lonely and depressed after another week goes by without Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene texting him a picture of her dick. Aw, she's cruel. No more dick pics from Marjorie Taylor Greene. A dutiful hand puppet, Jim Jordan waits for Donald Trump to finish making a fist so the congressman can sit on it and then spew more lies in his defense. Racked by self-loathing and doubt, Majority Leader Steve Scalise once again corners Kevin McCarthy, begging the Speaker to stop calling him his number two. Steve Scalise doesn't like being called his number two. On the road, away from wife Karen, former Vice President Mike Pence often pays an American flag dominatrix to come up to his hotel room and pee on him. A very sick man. Because he's black, Republican Senator Tim Scott's announcement that he might run for president was interrupted 6 times after wealthy donors wouldn't stop calling the police, who then kept telling Senator Scott to keep his hands where they can see them. It's not easy being an African American in the Republican Party. Presidential candidate and anti-vaxxer Robert Kennedy Jr.'s speeches are often punctuated by a series of wet sneezes and tubercular coughs, followed by a plaintive appeal for a warm blanket and some Advil. Aw, look at that. Look at poor Bobby Kennedy Jr. He's always look at that. He's always sneezing and coughing. He should try getting vaccinated. Despite the lit cigarette in his hand, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un still insists on ordering off the kids' menu at Applebee's. During a visit to his ancestral homeland, Joe Biden held high-level talks with the president of Ireland, who, because his wife just walked out on him, had to wear the only clean outfit left in his closet. Can't do his own wash. That was the only outfit the president of Ireland had in the closet. And President Biden, his sister, and son Hunter were so excited to touch down in Ireland, they moonwalked to their limousine. Arriving in Dublin, Joe Biden can barely focus on his speech as his drinking hand kept interrupting with, "We go to pub now? I'm thirsty. How about now? We go to pub now? I'm parched. What about now? We go to pub now?" Joe Biden's drinking hand insisted on grabbing the wheel of the presidential limousine. It's got a nasty... Joe Biden has a nasty drinking hand. Got triggered in Ireland. Joe Biden's drinking hand insisted on grabbing the wheel of the presidential limousine to find the nearest Irish pub, but then swerved out of the way to avoid hitting a leprechaun and ended up sending 500 well-wishers to the hospital. That's a tough drinking hand, really tough drinking hand. More trouble after Joe Biden's drinking hand heard the woman say she was an O'Shaughnessy. And Joe Biden's drinking hand had no choice but to keep a promise he made to Joe's grandmother and punch the... Let me start from the beginning. More trouble after Joe Biden's drinking hand heard the woman say she was an O'Shaughnessy. Joe Biden's drinking hand had no choice but to keep a promise he once made to Joe's grandmother and punch that O'Shaughnessy square in the face. Yeah, the Bidens and the O'Shaughnessys. Joe's drinking hand kept a promise to punch anyone named O'Shaughnessy. Later that evening, during his pub crawl President Biden couldn't understand why the Irish hang their photographs and paintings on the floor. Hours later, a drunk and belligerent President Biden tore a karaoke bar to pieces, insisting he wouldn't leave until one of you pale-faced losers finally sings Sinead O'Connor's "Nothing Compares to You" in the right key. He can get belligerent on karaoke night on the pub crawl. That's President Joe Biden telling a karaoke bar that someone needs to sing Sinead O'Connor's "Nothing Compares to You" in the right key. That drink in hand really got triggered in Ireland. The next day, President Biden and British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak issued a joint communique outlining a bilateral framework where both nations agreed the breakfast service inside the Belfast Hilton is subpar. Belfast Hilton. Both nations agreed the breakfast service inside the Belfast Hilton is subpar. It'd be great if I could pronounce Belfast. Unable to take it anymore, Joe Biden signals his Secret Service to come over immediately and trim the British Prime Minister's ear hairs. Is that what's going on there? Oh, yeah, that's the signal. Bring the hair trimmer. After breakfast with the British Prime Minister, First Lady Jill Biden strolled the streets of Belfast while the president went upstairs to his hotel room to sample some Irish Shiza videos. That's Joe Biden watching some Irish Shiza videos. Then the president went down to the hotel pub and proceeded to blow £200 betting on Australian rugby. We've all been there. We've all been there. That afternoon, a completely shit-faced president of the United States strolled the streets of Belfast, calling complete strangers Mr. Blarney Stone and then trying to kiss them. Maybe visiting Ireland was not a good idea. The president stumbled up to his room, got his Joint Chiefs of Staff on the line, and phoned in several drone strikes on the couple next door having loud sex. After a still drunk and belligerent Joe Biden finally came to, he angrily accused his reflection in the mirror of cold cocking him. Fighting Joe Biden. As President Biden exchanges small talk with the British Prime Minister, Special Envoy to Northern Ireland for Economic Affairs, Joseph Kennedy III, surprises Joe Biden by grabbing hold of some presidential prostate. Yeah, that's a Kennedy. That's definitely, that's a Kennedy grabbing hold of some presidential prostate. Looking out over the Irish Sea, Joe Biden thinks to himself, so many drops of water, yet so few places to pee. Unlike America's free-spirited First Lady Jill Biden, the Irish Prime Minister and Joe Biden are looky-loos when it comes to enjoying Ireland's famed topless beaches. Yeah, that's Joe and his friend enjoying Jill at a topless beach. I'm David Feldman. This has been the Mop-Up for April 14th, 2023. We're going to do office hours Friday night at 8 p.m. Robert Smigel will, Robert Smigel, he's going to do Donald Trump, so we're going to talk to Donald Trump. We'll have the professors and Marianne. I would love it if you join us. I'd like to meet the listeners. We start office hours at 8 p.m. Eastern. We go for about 90 minutes. You can find the link to office hours in the description to this episode or over at my website. If you sign up for my newsletter, which comes out every Friday night, there's also a link for office hours. As I always say, the only reason you're listening to this right now is because somebody copied and pasted a link to this episode or an episode and shared it with you via social media or through email. So if you enjoyed any part of this and you want to thank me, share it with a couple of friends. Also, please like it. Please like the video. Please subscribe to my channel. That's very important. And subscribe to my newsletter. Leave a comment. My regular listeners know I read all the comments wherever you post them. You can tell that I read it. There'll be a heart next to it. I think that covers everything. I'm David Feldman, reminding you to stay strong and protect the weak. Thank you.